Good morning, Brick World. I had to shout out the staple morning show of the Lego Block. These are the more tame versions of a late night hive stream, with numerous special guests, including this ninja, including a brand new co-host, Mr. Sanson, to spice up your Sunday mornings. This was not a paid advertisement for the Cali Brick Clique, but if you haven't heard of Good Morning Brick World, where have you been?
Try to get this whole thing in an hour. I wish I would have known that earlier so that we could just start 30 minutes earlier.
Sorry.
All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cali Brick Clique, episode 56. And before we get into introductions, remember, you can always listen to this episode and previous episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you find podcasts, even iHeartRadio. I don't know if that's actually getting any traction, not according to analytics. But either way, you can go there too if you have that platform as well. And like always, we have Claire, the Plastic Architect.
Hey.
We have Ninja.
Yo. Dang, Shy, you're coming for the gold for that intro.
Mm-hmm.
I see you, bro.
Just getting better at it. And this week, we have returning back to us for season 2 of Cali Brick Clique, Cece, Cafe Corner. How's it going?
Hey.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So how's everyone been this past week?
Pretty good. Pretty busy, actually.
Same.
Actually, just got back.
My schedule actually just lowered down to. You said you just got back. Let's hear that.
What? You left?
Let's hear about that.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I was in France over the weekend.
Damn.
Nice.
Okay, was it for like work or pleasure?
Pleasure. I took my grandma for her birthday.
That's what's up.
That is, yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my sister came too. I can't forget about her.
So it was like a surprise gift kind of a trip, or is it something that was planned amongst all of you, or what was
Yeah, it definitely had to be planned, but yeah, like I guess I sort of surprised her, but like back in October, so that I could eventually do it for January for her birthday.
That's what's up. That's always like a good thing when you kind of reward like family for like just bringing us up. You know what I mean? Where you're able to pay some of that back, and that's legit. Taking to France, that's
Was
no
it her
easy
first
feat,
time?
especially now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rough time. I think
Why?
we're all still jet lagged and stuff, but
Tired still.
yeah.
How long were you there for?
4 days.
Why so little? That's so quick.
Yeah, well, my grandma, like, she recently retired,
Mm-hmm.
but
Congratulations.
yeah, well, it's like her third time.
Oh, okay.
But back when I was planning it, she was still working, and like she didn't have any plans to retire. So I was like, okay, well, we'll do it for the weekend, and also my sister's in school, and I don't have that many vacation days because I'm going to Colombia next month, and that's maxing out all my vacation. So
Talk about traveling the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Now, was this before or after you saw the movie Encanto?
it was before,
Yeah.
and actually, Mr. Cafe, he's Colombian, and he did not want to see Encanto with me, and I was like, this movie looks amazing.
Why?
I don't know why.
It's
but
so
then
good.
It is, right? And then we finally watched it because it came on Disney Plus, and then he was like, oh wait, this is Colombia, and I was like, yeah,
Wow.
like I'm glad you're invested now.
Did he like it at least?
He did.
Does it resonate with him?
It does, yeah. Like all the different colors, and then just like showing the diversity of the people and the landscape and the food and stuff. Like he had a blast. So during the movie, he called his mom to try to download Disney Plus, and then that was a whole ordeal trying to get her to like log in and download the app, and
It adds to the experience, I think.
it does, yeah.
I don't know. My family's still obsessed with that movie, especially my kids. Like I've never heard my children sing a full song from front to back yet, and until that movie came out, and that's all they sing.
Which
Right.
one?
We don't talk about Bruno.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh.
That one's my. I love that song.
That's a
Like,
good
This
one.
household. we don't
Lin-Manuel
talk
did a
about Bruno.
great job with that song. It's the whole score is like Broadway all over it, like every single song. And
Yeah.
a piece of me is like, I wish it did more songs in the 6 that they have out. But I mean, it's still good. Like I'm happy with the songs that they have out. I don't know. I'm obsessed with it too. I don't get sick of it. We've watched it like 50 times now.
I feel
Literally
like
front
it
to back.
flows so good that it feels short to me. Like,
Mhm.
It is.
It
Yeah, I
does.
felt
oh,
like
it's over
it
already?
was only half a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blink and it's over.
Mhm.
Not paying attention.
It's good. People are really liking it. I don't actually like the music that much. I liked the movie. I thought what was more interesting about it was the fact that they talk about like generational pressure and also like generational trauma
That part.
in a Disney movie, which is like really cool because like that's something that everybody faces, and it's like kind of like it's there. I maybe people don't realize that it's like a movie about mental health, and it's like
Mhm.
really cool how they do that. And it's like, you know, the older, you know, matriarch of the family puts so much pressure on the entire family that's like where all their stuff, you know, their issues come from. And so that's what I think is really cool about that film.
Yeah.
But
That's the part that Barb's obsessed with.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like I think it's really interesting as well. But I couldn't get into the music. Like it was fun and entertaining, and I love the art style. And I've been to Colombia, and you can definitely like see like what it's, you know, what it's based off, which is really cool.
Mhm.
But I don't know why the music like didn't do it for me. It was maybe because it's too Broadway, and I wanted Disney movie.
And
And
like Ariel
I feel that.
and Lion King.
yeah, I think I think it's like, or like Tarzan. I think that's like one of the best scores.
I'm surprised. I thought you liked Moana's like music.
I do
That's-
like
that's so
I
normal.
like Moana. Moana's probably as Broadway as it can, like I would like it to be. And even like Tangled was like kind of Broadway-y, but yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like it's fun. I thought it was great, and it's what's incredible is like how much people are like totally obsessed with it, which is like really
Right.
fun.
I can't find that Lego set anywhere.
Which one?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like-
the Encanto one.
Yeah, I literally can't find it anywhere.
You talking
Isn't it
about?
even online? Because it doesn't look like it is. Things like sold out still. I went to the Lego store. It's not there. None of my Targets have them.
I seen
and,
the
like,
2 books.
Is it a book? I thought it was a set.
I've
It was
just
a
seen-
friend set or mini dolls.
There's 3 sets. There's 2 books, and like the storybooks, like the
Yeah,
princess
the sorry
books,
little ones.
and then there's a house, like the house.
The house.
Yeah.
Much
Oh,
better.
house.
okay.
So there's 3 sets total for the movie.
It's like one of those things I know like my kids would enjoy and I wouldn't mind buying at all. The excuse to buy a Lego set.
No shame.
Try to find any way possible to find a reason.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I'm just
100%. I'm going for those books.
I didn't even know the books existed. I just
Yeah.
thought it was that one set.
Those parts are fresh. Like I want to do something with them.
I
don't know,
I wish
with
they
the
did
books.
more.
more for
like-
that movie.
Yeah, more for that movie, more for the princesses. I feel like every release, there's just the books, and especially Mulan. I feel like she doesn't get much of a good treatment when it
Preach.
comes to Lego.
Damn, just calling out Disney and Lego on this one.
Did you guys see that there's like a little boxes or like little jewelry boxes or something?
Yeah, they're
It's like
really
a 3 set,
expensive. Yeah.
a 3
Yeah, they're
pack
cool
set
though.
with the princesses.
Yeah, there's a bunch of princesses that like were really expensive, like Tiana and Merida, like mini dolls that are now available again. And the sets themselves are expensive, but it's still like cheaper than like getting the old ones. Like Tiana was like had only come in one other set beforehand. So
And we're talking about mini dolls here, right?
Yeah.
yes, yeah, all the Disney princess stuff is all mini dolls. The only Disney minifig stuff was in the CMF series.
Are they really pricey for the mini dolls, like on the secondhand market once they retire?
That specific Tiana doll was like $100.
Holy
And she
Christ.
only came out in one set. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know a mini doll would have that much of a resale value. That's actually nice to hear that there is a demand for
Not
that.
all mini dolls. It's just like a couple that were available, and it's like IP ones as well.
Yeah, so I mean, well, aren't most of them aside from Friends, all the IP ones it's just Disney, right? There's no other.
Yeah,
IP.
there's no other, but they it's only those 2, and they're devalued now. So they're on they're a little bit different, but they're
Yeah.
devalued because now they're available. Like the new ones that came out have like different bottoms and stuff like that. Like they've changed like the skirt piece and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. They're like
Yeah.
a crystal
Yeah, it's like a translucent piece. It's really cool.
container thing.
Yeah.
Do you think like mini dolls will ever get to a point where
No.
it does become,
There's
even with the
no-
more acceptance of it?
No, there just isn't the market for it.
It's not as much demand, I think.
Yeah, there's just they're created for little girls to have fun with. They're not for any other purpose. They've only been around for like 10 years as well. So
That's what I'm saying. It's still relatively young in comparison to the minifigure.
I'd be really surprised.
Maybe if we eventually get a collectible mini doll series.
I don't even think that'll do it. I don't. I think that'll end up like Unikitty.
Ooh. I was just saying, like, because now that many girls now growing into like with the line into adulthood, there might be some maybe nostalgia factor to it, and more of a promotion towards it.
I don't know. I think the stigma of it will like never probably go away because of the I think like the issue over it, and then they'll always become. It's not like minifigs will like ever go away either. So it's like they'll always be. It's not like one will overtake the market. It'll always be like a inferior product in the eyes of the average consumer.
Or the average AFOL.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I think it's just too similar to. It doesn't stand out enough, in my opinion. Like, because it looks very similar to like a Polly Pocket.
If someone outside the fandom or that's not familiar with Friends at all, like, or if they were to see that mini doll, would they think Lego? And obviously they wouldn't. It's the minifigure that screams Lego. That's what Lego's known for. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. I was just seeing if maybe you guys felt that with the prominence now and like a lot more women coming into like the visual space and then an empowerment of it, there might be a chance for mini dolls.
No, if there were like,
because I know Lego Movie 2 tried to push it.
No, I mean if there were like influencers with like legitimate impact and influence, like with millions of subscribers that could actually like change trends. No way. But we don't have that in the Lego community. That doesn't exist. The Lego community is really small. I think like we're so insular that like we get blinders and like we forget what the rest of the consumer world is like. And yeah, it's like a successful company, but it's still minuscule, Well,
yeah, I do see that. Yeah, that's obvious. But I feel like the negative connotations for mini dolls is only coming from the fandom, not necessarily everybody else.
Of course, everyone else doesn't really get it. Like,
no, everyone else doesn't give a crap.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it takes a long time for like stigma to kind of shift, And a lot of I've met there's a lot of great people in the community, but there's a lot of people that are stuck in their ways.
That is true.
It's not like a generally woke community, so I don't think.
Well, I don't think we've ever brought that term in here.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly enough, it's not, and a lot of it prides itself on not being that. I was
going to see how long it would take us before we said that term.
I mean,
56 episodes.
Episode 56. That's when we're talking about it.
Guys, fast forward. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Claire.
Sorry.
Hey, you guys, stay woke.
Stay woke.
Since we're here,
God.
why is not?
Screw that term. Speaking of which, Cece was our first guest that we've had when did we start having guests? 10 episodes in, I think. So I would say March. So almost a year ago. Since then, Cece has kind of come in and out of being on YouTube. And one of the things were brought up in the past is watching fellow YouTubers come in and out and worrying to see if they would fall out of the hobby when things would kind of go back into normal. But speaking with Cece and kind of knowing her on the side, we understand that there were other factors that came into that. So Cece has now posted a few things recently after leaving for a bit. So Cece, is there a reason why after getting accepted to LAN, you kind of took a break?
Yeah. I've tried to, I guess, reflect on this a bit on my own as well, because I think this isn't an isolated event in my life. It's like you grind to a certain point because there's a goal. And then once you reach that goal, it's like, okay, what the heck do I do now? That coupled with some just mental health things in like regular life. And it was all just a perfect storm for depression and insecurity, and then not really seeing how I fit back into the space. I just kind of left, and I didn't think anyone would notice, and then people did, and then I felt bad. So then I wanted to stay away more. So yeah, it was just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I don't know, type of thing.
Do you regret that decision?
Yes, because trying to come back has been difficult. Like, I see how close everybody else has gotten and all the different friendships and things, and so it's like what I feared the most, I literally created for myself. Just like that self-isolation.
What made you decide to come back though? Because you kind of said that like you built this like mountain for yourself, and now you kind of decided to start climbing it.
What made me come back is like, even though I wasn't seen, I never truly left, in a sense. Like, I would lurk on streams or like watch different people's videos, or pretty much like when I'm in the office, I'll check Lego like news blogs and stuff, make sure, like, because I don't have access to Instagram and things, so I have to know what's happening. I really missed it, and I was kind of kicking myself. Like, I was given the opportunity to be a land member. I had grown a community, and I can't say like authentically that I'm someone who values community, but then decides to turn my back away from that community without at least attempting to fight for it. And I just was not in a good place for a while. I was in a really deep, dark place, like with just personal relationships and how I felt about myself, to the point where I was literally sick. Like, me doing the work on myself to be able to, I guess, look myself on camera and feel comfortable with being seen, felt like I owed it to myself at that point to try.
That's really good. I mean, honestly, like, as long as you realize that like our job as like your friend is to just let you know that we're here, we're not going anywhere, and there's if you need to go away for another year, that's fine too, or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But there's no reason. Like, I guess it just like depends. Like, what is it that you're looking for? And then once, I think, because I definitely go through, and I mean, I'm sure other people do too, but I don't want to speak for them, but I definitely go through moments of being like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Like, if I put the wrong pressures on the wrong things, I'm like, I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And so then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're just like, you're upset with X, Y, or Z, and like the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. Simpler, easier said than done. But I think like, for me, what always helps is like figuring out like what my purpose is, and like in that, or like what my intentions are, and like what my desired outcome is. And I have to keep asking myself that over and over again. It's not like I can ask myself once and that question is answered. It's mostly like I have to keep doing it, because also my answer changes. You know what I mean? Like, depending on like where I am. And so I've pulled back from like creating content for the last few months for a multitude of different reasons. One of which is like, starting my own company. But a lot of it is like, I got like physically ill for like a very long time, and I can't seem to like kick a few of these things that I keep getting. I think it's really important that viewers, or like people that aren't content creators, and even like people that aren't female content creators, or those that put pressure upon themselves to like look a certain way, it doesn't feel great to like feel like crap about, like physically feel ill and then put yourself in front of a camera. It's just like something, it seems like the last thing that you're going to do, which is silly, because if you talk to anybody, they're going to be like, that's just so stupid. You look fine. Who cares? But it's hard. It's really hard. And I think there's like a vulnerability there that like, if you haven't done that work with yourself and been vulnerable with yourself and figured out if you like, how are you supposed to do it with like a camera, and I totally get it. I see you. It's not a big deal. It's really not. It's just Lego, and it's just YouTube, and it's like, it's not your life. You know what I mean? It's not like your career. It's not your relationship with your partner. It's not your relationship with your family. It's just, this is supposed to bring you joy.
There's more important things. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Like, don't ever let it like give you pressure. And I'm not saying like leave it, just like, reevaluate it,
And Mr. Cafe has like, he doesn't dislike YouTube, but I think he disliked what it did to me. the stress and always trying to like figure out, okay, what type of stream, what type of video, and, you know, different sorts of things. And then being upset when something doesn't go well, or I don't get the sort of response, or someone doesn't notice my new editing technique, or, you know, what have you. But that was putting stress on an already stressful relationship, because this was the first time that either of us had lived with a partner, and then doing that in the middle of a pandemic, hours and states away from home, and then, you know, trying to do this YouTube thing was a lot.
Yeah. Life changed.
I, being naive and being a male, you have so many pressures that a lot of men that just don't understand. We forget that, and we're too judgmental, like without actually trying. It's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I mean, the community itself is like obviously biased in like, you know, a couple of different directions. It's not just a singular one, but, you know, it is what it is. And it's like, it's never, you know, Cece was like one of the first like female content creators, you know, for Lego in a long time. And so there had, you know, we talked about it, you know, when Cece was first on, right? And it, you know, that had its own challenges and stuff. And I know you've said before, like, that if you could, you would retract doing a face reveal. And that is something I think is incredibly unfortunate that you feel that way. But I don't know, how do you feel that way like now and, you know, a few weeks, months since, you know, you said that before?
I think in some ways it's special. I mean, like, I in no way like grew up on camera or anything, you know. I'm not like Ryan, but looking back, I can't remember. It was one of like the more recent videos, so I don't have that many. But I put in a clip of the very first stream I did with me and Mr. Cafe, and like seeing where this all started. Also, how much fitter I used to be, but just like kind of seeing that transition, it is something special. And I think now that I dislike myself less, I'm okay with it. And to go back to your former point, and also Shy's point about like the pressures of, you know, how you're supposed to look on camera as a female. And Claire, like, I guess I realized or noticed when you stopped wearing makeup on camera, and then I was like, oh, we can do that. Which is like such a, I guess, silly thing to kind of point out, but I was just like, oh, okay, cool. That's an option that works for me.
Yeah, I mean, it might not work to my benefit when it comes to like viewership numbers, like whatever, but it works to my. If I had to always put on makeup or whatever, like I wouldn't be doing like podcasts and live streams and stuff. Like, I'm much more relaxed with that, you know.
Right.
And that's like the only thing that I have available at that time. You know what I mean? And like, I'll only put on makeup if I want it. That's it. It has only to do with me and me alone.
I feel like if you lose viewers or subs because of that, then they're very shallow anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Like, oh, she stopped wearing makeup, I can't watch this. So
yeah, but the reality is like you're in a position of entertainment, and it's like you're creating content, and it's like also like part of that. It's hard. It's like it's a hard pill to swallow. It's like, yeah.
But like you said, also, this is just like the Lego space, so it's not like,
it's just the Lego space, and it's also like it's also what I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Unfortunately, this is kind of like being on YouTube, just putting yourself in front of a camera in general, you're going to be criticized.
Shit.
It's going to happen. Like the YouTube space.
You have to be okay with it.
You have to be okay with it. You have to be accepting of the fact there are going to be mean people out there.
Yeah. If you can't handle it, you can't be here. It's like really that simple. Like, I genuinely believe that. Like, if you cannot handle it, it is only going to bring you pain. Because if you're incapable of like overlooking it and moving on, don't hang out, because it's like people are awful. You could say like, oh yeah, but my community is really nice, but it's nice right now. And it's like, if you're going to keep doing content, you're going to keep growing. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think there's like a reality check that needs to be had. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, look at this like super weird, crazy comment. Like, that second that you just said, look at that, you have already taken a step in the wrong direction. It's just like, just delete. Just delete and block, and that's it. And then it's out of your mind. And if you can't do that, then it's like there is a lot of exercise that needs to be done beforehand, because I think it just gets infinitely worse. And so like my choice to not wear makeup, it's not like that, yeah, we can do that. You can absolutely do that. But it's also like, for me, I chose to do it because I felt like there was an authenticity lacking in myself and in my content. And so one step towards that direction was taking off my makeup, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get it. Oh yeah, I'm all for it.
But I mean, I don't do it all the time. I mean, I love makeup. It's like a creative outlet for me as well.
Yeah, but it's your choice. It's like you're choosing when and where to wear.
Yeah, like I've got something that I need to do after this that I don't want to be wearing makeup for, so I don't wear it for this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. Anyway, I don't know that, but Cece, tell us if you think it's too harsh to say that, like, if you can handle it, get out, because it's like it's only going to get. I think it only gets worse. I don't know. You tell me.
I think that's a very fair assessment, especially for someone who kind of like sticks along and decides to grow, and inevitably your community will grow. I would just like to say, I don't think I've ever really had like a mean comment, and
That's
all the
fantastic.
negativity
That's so good.
has really only come from myself, which is like a very sobering thing to realize. Also like kind of sucky. I mean, these demons aren't new.
No, they just get amplified when you put with the internet. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
like, yeah, for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, like I have absolutely like gained weight since I first started doing my first videos. Like the reality of like COVID and being in a new relationship and all that stuff has its like own fair share of things. But it's like life goes on. It is like it's fine. It's like
it's also freeing when you accept that when you accept yourself. No matter where you are in life, it's so freeing. It's so much better for your mental health. And then anything that comes your way, it's just like, okay, now what? It's just like Eminem in 8 Mile in the last part. Like you just throw out everything about you that anyone would ever hit you with, and it's like, okay, now what? All right, cool. I'm moving on. Peace. And you put yourself in a higher position that there's really nothing that anybody can say. And I don't pay attention to a lot of the negativity that comes my way. And once I started doing that, I stopped giving a crap. And we've said this multiple times before, is that like, we could have 99 really great comments, but that one comment is just horrid. And then you just dwell on it. And it's unfair.
Well, he doesn't get them.
I know. Apparently she doesn't. But
I'm not here.
You also forget that the 99 other people who wrote really great things about you or gave you positive feedback, we ignore that when we dwell those negative.
Interestingly enough, I don't actually get that many like straight mean comments. I get some serious like mansplaining from people who have like.
What's mansplaining? Can you elaborate that?
Well, I mean, I assume it's mansplaining. I've like obviously made an assumption about how they're identifying, but like I get a lot of condescension, and it's probably because sometimes maybe in like my video, maybe the way that I'm articulating myself, it has an air of condescension, and so like maybe that's like what I'm getting back.
Wow.
But I don't know. I'm like trying to understand, but I haven't really tried to understand it. But I find those to be like the most annoying. But there's a lot of people that do that. Like I see it on everything. It's like, you say like the sky is blue, someone's gonna like leave a comment being like, no, the sky is red. That's kind of one of those parts that I think about YouTube that it's just like, you have to shut up and deal with it. It's like not a negotiable thing. It's if you're like, this is my Lego city, someone's gonna be like, no, that's not a Lego city. That's like a Lego boat or something. Like I'm using these examples as extreme versions of it.
Sure, I get that all the time.
Yeah, and it's
people are on here to troll.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Like my architects reviews videos are like, it evokes some really interesting comments. Like they're not my most successful videos, but they're really interesting because of like, I'll get like paragraph long responses of stuff of like people, either thinking that my analysis was like totally off base, or it's just like or their own personal like story that they share. So it's just kind of funny what evokes that. But
what is it like? Are you saying like, oh, this is Greco-Roman architecture, and they're like, no, that's colonial? Like,
there's been a couple where like people are like, no, you've like miscategorized it, which because and usually it's because they have like a personal attachment or they're from the area where like that specific thing is from, and rather it's which is like kind of interesting because it's like my experience comes from like a generally like very academic environment where it's not, you never like come back saying no. It's very much like, well, my interpretation is this. And so it's like a lot more like palatable and then you say like why it is. While the internet doesn't have that like rhetoric, it is just like X, Y, and Z, or you're dumb. And like, honestly, like I don't get that many of those, but like Sans gets his fair share of like fun stuff, which is like really, because he's got like also a younger audience, lexicon of a particular, their choice of words is infinitely more diverse than mine, my audience. So it's really interesting. And we do share an audience, obviously, because like our videos overlap and stuff, but it's kind of funny. And like Ryan has a strategy of like, if you come even close saying something negative, he will block without even blinking twice. He's like, you're out. But the thing is like,
no nonsense.
Yeah, I don't think he particularly handles like all of like the internet, intensity the best, but that I think he does right. It is swift. It is, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to
substitute teacher. Yeah.
It's just like boom, boom, boom out. And
to give Ryan credit though, he did go through a lot before he came to that realization.
Yeah, of course. No, but I think that's a good thing. And I think like, even though you don't get those comments, you create those thoughts in your head. And it's almost like you need to have that same swift brutality to like elimination or something. I mean, I don't know, like there's some really more qualified people in this world as to how to deal with insecurity. And some of them have really great, Instagram accounts now. Have you guys noticed that? Like there's actually some really nice, like therapists out there who are like one of my friends is like she's a really good therapist, and she is like branding herself like on Instagram and like TikToks and stuff like that, and they're cool, and they are really impactful in like a really short form, and they challenge talk therapy, and anyway, it's really interesting.
Mental health TikTok is great.
Yeah, but there's obviously like some people out there who have no idea what they're talking about. They're probably causing more harm than good, but there's actually some really good ones out there that are creating content, which is good. Instead of going to see your doctor, get on.
It's cheaper. You have to go to your healthcare or primary care physician for that.
It's in everyone's network. So.
No, don't take that advice.
I'm gonna have to put a disclosure in the beginning.
Yeah, no copay. Oh my God. No, your copay is just your.
Your copay is your cookies on your phone.
Maybe. Or your
track of what
or the hours that you'll lose of your life.
Yeah, you'll get like 50 like dance challenge videos and then like one good quality, helpful, therapist video, and you're like, wow, this was a great TikTok session. And then it just kind of like validates the whole 3 hours you spent.
30 seconds to 3 hours. Like numbness. When you get the realization that you completely wasted valuable time in your life.
But like on a more serious note, I did actually go to therapy. I'm really grateful to have a job that like offers like employee assistance thing, and it was super helpful. Definitely, like if anyone out there has that, like definitely take an advantage.
That's awesome.
Definitely good to see you're in a better place. That's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm just trying to get back to like, I don't know, like that childlike awe that I started with
Lego.
In like the Lego space as well, like seeing Ryan not much younger than me and making a living from it, and just being like, hey, this is my Lego, this is my stuff, and I'm excited about it.
I was just going to ask, do you think the reason you kind of slowed down was because you were comparing yourself to other people? Because comparison is the killer of enjoyment.
It was exactly that. Like, I mean, I try not to tell the exact moment that I was done because it makes me seem like I don't want to say a jerk. It just seems really dumb and insignificant. But it was like, it wasn't
obviously it wasn't to you, so it obviously meant something.
Yeah, and I think I'm just also very sensitive, but it wasn't like negative attention. It was the lack of attention, if that makes sense. It felt like a lack of support. And then when, you compare yourself to others and how hard you're working and how much energy you're putting into things, and then for it to, I guess, not live up to the expectations that you see others being supported.
Now, are you talking about support by viewers or support by fellow content creators?
By viewers.
Okay.
Certainly. Yeah. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of felt like a slap in the face. And I was like, wow, like I'm putting myself through like all of this mess, using a lot of extroversion energy I do not have. At the end of the day, like not get much support, but see like, I guess what I saw in my head, everybody else getting the support and whatnot. And so I was just like, okay, F it. I'm just going to peace out and take a break.
And then in your mind, you're like, they're not going to miss me anyway. So.
Right.
See, I feel that. Sometimes I think that same thing. I just back off. That's why I say like this YouTube stuff is kind of like Claire was saying, you got to be built for it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't think I am, honestly. So I'm like, shit, I'll back up.
I understand where that's coming from. And I feel like there's something else hidden in that, which I won't pull that out of you. I personally, I get more gratification when it's acknowledged by fellow content creators. So when Claire Ninja says good job on a video, that makes my day more than if 50,000 people were to watch that same video. Like if Ryan were to say a good job, if you were to say a good job, I care about that 10 times more because we're in the grind too. We understand what it takes to make something, put yourself on screen. And that's the reason why I asked you that question, is that do you feel like you're unsupported by your fellow content creators or the viewers?
Yeah, I definitely feel supported by fellow content creators. Just like people that I rarely even spoke with, Dan being one of them. And we've interacted, like we've done, I think a live stream or two together, but not someone that I hung out with regularly back in the day, like any of you guys. And he reached out. And so I was like, okay, people notice.
We all are going to notice. We saw some of the people disappear, and you were among one of them, and we were generally worried.
Yeah, when you drop that video,
what would happen if Claire just disappeared and stopped posting anything? Luckily, we have sense to go around that case, but I would start to, now I got to go to my phone and actually hit her up. You know what I mean? That would, what happens if I were to disappear? What would you think? I got on a motorcycle accident. What would you do? It's the same kind of thing. We build relationships with each other through putting ourselves out there. And one of the things that I was kind of worried is that we weren't giving you the support you felt or you needed.
No, that wasn't the case.
I'm glad you made Cece's trauma into yours, Shy. That's
no, this was genuine. I did feel like we let her down.
Oh, got it. Okay,
yeah,
well, I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah, that was one of the things where I knew there were some people out there that were being overly critical. I know that had an effect on it. And then when she fell on the wayside, it was just that was it. None of there was there really a hand out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard because it's I don't, when somebody leaves the space, how do you, a lot of times you don't have their personal information, so you can't reach out and you can't do you know what I mean? I was just thinking about it, Cece, you were still you were gone, but you were kind of there, you know what I mean? You would leave a comment every once in a while, you'd pop up on a live stream, which was great, it was always exciting, but then so it's we knew you were alive, and so but someone really dropped off, there's some people that I have no way of contacting them or their spouse or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lego Mike again.
Wow. No, but that's the thing that I wanted to. Well, I was kind of leading towards exactly what Claire said. Is this we build these relationships with each other? It's almost like a facade because we can't get past what we project out there ourselves. Yeah. Luckily we've been able to, at least us three down here, we've able to cross that barrier and go beyond that to where if something were to happen, we can hopefully figure it out. But there's other people out there that we all genuinely care about, and it's we still hold that guard to not present you with personal information, or we keep that in a safe space. You had a mental breakdown, something was genuinely wrong, and none of us knew or could reach out to make sure that you're okay, aside from just leaving you a DM on Instagram, and hopefully you would respond or not.
Well, I think it's also there's something really particular about this type of community. It's it's one of the only ones that's everything is I have to go in 10 minutes. This is going to be my little closing thing, but everything is kind of in your control, in a good and bad way. It's what you want, you'll get back. And also if you want to make yourself vulnerable and share information about yourself, that's in your control. It's not sometimes those decisions are made for you in other kind of social environments. And it's, you have choice, which is kind of a good and bad thing. You know what I mean? Because if you're if you're somebody who, when they go through a hard time, they pull away. I'm actually one of those kind of people. And most of the time my friends will get really upset with me because they're like, you like haven't been absent. And I'll always be like, you've known me for 20 years. Why didn't you ask if something was okay? I've been there for you always. And then they'll be like, well, you just like exited the situation. And it's like, people sometimes have a hard time understanding that's a coping mechanism for a lot of people. And those types of people like me tend to have people in their life that are not those types of people, or the kind of people that like need validation constantly and like need, confirmation that they're, that like they need like someone in their life intensely. And so when you exit, they take it as an offense rather than realizing it's not about them. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting that with these types of environments, like the internet and like social media and stuff like that, you have total control up to what that is. And that's either a good or bad thing. So it's wonderful that Dan reached out and it's great, but it's also like not anyone's responsibility to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
of course. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you meant to say that at all. Mm-hmm. And like my like clear bitterness comes from like I have my own set of people in my life that are like dependent on me in a way that they should be dependent on a partner. And so that's like what you're seeing right now. It's like very frustrating. And I don't know how I'm in this situation, but regardless, you have control of how you present yourself on the internet and what you ask for. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's also your responsibility if you want us to like reach out to like tell us, hey, I'm having a hard time. And you're doing that right now. You're like, I had a hard time. Mm-hmm. But I, and I need more from my audience. It's kind of like what you're saying. It sounds like you need more from your audience. It sounds like you want a bigger audience. It sounds like you want to grow. And it's like you get upset if you're not growing. Is that reasonable for me to say that?
That's a very fair assumption. Mr. Cafe has like commented on it. And I don't like know if it's just like a general like ambition thing, but like it's never enough, like I always have to have a goal that needs to be met, whether it was CrossFit or school or work or YouTube, because otherwise I feel lost.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'd like to grow. We'll see if the algorithm lets me come back ever.
Well, I think it's also like I think in the vein of self-reflection, and I think there's like a reality when it comes to putting content out there. What you're putting out there is outside of it, some freak accident. You know what I mean? With the algorithm, you're gonna get what you're putting out, and it's like. It's that I think is the hardest pill to swallow. And it's like, it doesn't matter how hard you're working, doesn't matter like how much emotional, stress you're putting on it or weight or whatever. It's like, if it's content that people want to see, it's going to be seen. And I think that it is very difficult for people to take that critique, including myself. And it's not an environment that can be like controlled in the way that like academic and professional ones are, because, we're quite literally like trained to know how to operate in those environments. This is something in totally separate where a lot of it is self-taught. And it's not like you have an expert, like a teacher that's like being like, no, you should do this instead. There's nobody like redlining or reviewing your videos to do that. Do you know what I mean? Or like your social media content. I mean, you can hire people to do that, but that's something that's like exorbitantly expensive. And, but the thing is like, I think if you seriously want to do this, and this is like a decision that like I've watched myself make or, struggle with, and same with Sans, is like, you need to seriously be self-critical in a very healthy way. And I think that's the hardest part, is to be like, okay, my content needs to go this direction or that direction and stuff like that, without being like, I'm a shitty person, or I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, keep that separate. And I think that is really hard to do. I think that is like, keep seeing your therapist kind of work. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, how do you like analyze your work and the content that you're putting out there without, like analyzing yourself? You know what I mean? And they're two separate entities. It's like making an investment and then making like a move for personal reasons. Like, if you want to, like, these are two separate entities that you need to separate. You know what I mean? Like financial versus emotional. And this is one of those. It is success on YouTube versus your emotions. And you have to keep those separate. And I don't know how to do that. So, and I don't think most people do. I think there's a variation of dumb luck that comes into it, but I think people that are incredibly successful, like, and I'm talking about like really big success, it is very calculated.
Like if you've ever heard Mr. Beast talk, I could listen to him all day because it's such like an analytical approach that he has to YouTube. Yeah. And that makes the most sense to me because that's the way my brain works.
Right. So try to do that with yourself without being hurtful.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's almost like learning a new language entirely. And it's easier for me to give advice than to take it, by the way. So just know that,
It also helps to rewatch your own video.
Yeah.
Like you have to rewatch it, like to understand where you're weak at. Like if you're falling asleep watching your own video, then you obviously can find critical points in your own content.
Exactly. So I think that's where it's like, figure out what your intention is. And it's like, if you want to find success on YouTube, then you have to choose to do that. If you want to just like have fun with the hobby, then who gives a shit? Like, upload whatever you want to upload, like just like have fun and like, don't look at numbers. Don't look at sub counts. Don't look at revenue. Like, don't look at any of that and just like have fun and create your community, which is like something you can do independently. And it's like, you have that choice to make,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to like talk down or be condescending, but it's just like, that's
the truth of the matter.
It's just, and it's kind of shitty because it's like, you only have two options, I think, when it comes to YouTube. And like, if there is another option, please someone tell me, but I feel like it's two. Speaking of
red pill or the blue pill.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye, Claire. Thank you for Dr. Claire today. We appreciate that.
Bye.
We love seeing her.
Bye, Cece. Bye.
Leading from what she says, like, you also have a lot of support from us, like with like other content creators. Like if you really, really wanted help, I guarantee it. If you ask Ryan, he would answer your questions. You know what I mean? If you ask Jane, he would answer your questions. Like you're also part of LAN, so you have support. However you choose to use that, that's an advantage that no one else has. So, well, not no one, but a lot of people don't have out there, even the larger YouTubers. So you have help there. And one of the things that I was actually saving to ever say to you was I was watching like just YouTube on like, I don't know where, I think it was on my pops' house. And your thumbnail came up on the side. And then my dad was like, yo, is that a sister? And I'm like, yeah, that's Cece. It's like, play her video. So in case you didn't know, I'm half black. My dad's black.
Okay.
You made my dad proud.
Wow.
Because looking at the thumbnails on the right in the suggested page, there's no one else who's black. It's Ryan, it's Holly, it's Emily, it's Brickitect, it's Bricking It. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
And you were the only person of color that was like that stood out, and he wanted to watch that. And when he watched it, he didn't understand anything you said. Like I can tell you that for sure. But he's like, all right, it's my sister over there. And I'm like, that was it. And I was just, I smiled in like pride in that myself.
Wow.
Don't forget, you do have an audience that look up to you, whether it be 5, 6, 2, 1, or 100. If you have 50 people watching your stuff consistently, I mean, that's 50 more than somebody else.
Yeah. And I think knowing that is what allowed me to hang on. And like, I kind of felt like it was maybe, I don't want to say selfish, but like, maybe narcissistic is like how I felt. And I like, okay, like putting myself at a certain level and thinking like, oh, people were looking at me. But like, the proof is in the pudding, like I'm one of few in the space. And knowing that, I don't want to say like it puts pressure, but it definitely allowed me to
definitely puts pressure. You know that.
I was just thinking.
You know that. you don't have to sugarcoat that. Look, I get it. Like my family's from the South. They fought their way to where they're at today. Your families presume the same way. Like it wasn't easy to get to where we're at now. And you shouldn't forget that. Like, I think that's like in my eyes, like I was like a little, like I said before, like I felt like I failed you. And a little of it was disheartening, because what attracted me to you was that you were different. And then like you're putting stuff out there. I'm like, yeah, okay, we need more of this. And, you know, you're a woman, you're a woman of color, like you're handling, like that's cool. And now with all these women coming around, all these girls looking up to all these content creators coming out, you know, like we're still missing that, like, you know, that one black doll on the side that my daughter can't pick up. You know what I mean? Just a wall of white dolls. Have you seen that image?
No.
So it's a famous photo image of like a white girl looking at just black dolls on the wall. It's the opposite effect of what's reality.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like just don't forget that, you know, it might not be like intentional at all, but you know, you do make people proud because you are the first or one of the. So, and then like you have land. As much as people talk trash about it, like it's an accomplishment amongst itself. You know what I mean? Right. So you've done so much good thus far, and like I don't want you to forget that as someone who really supported what you stood for.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Even before the name change. No,
yeah. Yeah, I'm down for Cafe Corn. I threw that out there. I'll accept that one.
Yeah. You basically chose it. But it worked. And I think I was just too focused on like what I didn't have. You know, I don't have ample space, for a Lego city, because that's what poppin'. That's what the algorithm loves. I am not. And so I actually have a YouTube coach with me coming back, just so I can get some third party perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been helpful, just to kind of like separate myself, like Clara said. But we were looking at someone similar, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she's bright and cheerful," and I was just like,
"That's not me."
Dang. Like I was like, that sucks. Like, I mean, I am who I am, and so like
the charisma on a camera on this, it takes a minute to establish for yourself. So that is something you have to develop, because people they don't want to talk. They don't want to listen to monotone. You know, they want to see someone that's engaging, that brings you to them, keeps the conversation going. Charisma is like very, very important in this. So that's something that if you feel like you don't have, you probably should work on that. You know what I mean? And like, I'm not say that I wasn't like that either. Like I have my times where I'm like, oh dude, I shouldn't have said it like that. I should add more range to, like, you know, the melody of how I'm projecting my voice. You know what I mean? Like there's always something to improve on. And that's why I always tell people, like, rewatch your video. Rewatch your video. Find 5 things in there that you think you could have done better than last time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then improve. And that's one of the things that really resonated with me from Ryan was, if you look at your video now, like you just post today, and rewatch a video from when you started a year ago, if nothing has changed in that whole year, you cannot get mad at where you're at right now.
Right.
You know, you have to improve. You have to, like, because right now you have a lot of it. Like your quality set up, your audio is good. Like your video quality is good. Your audio is good. You know, like it's just, in the end of the day, it's just going to be you. And like, use that fire that, like, I know you probably have. Like it's in there. You just got to reach out and deep into it, and like literally use that. You're holding back. I can feel like you're being very reserved, and I'm trying to be like, come on, just explode on me right now, Cece. I know you want to, like,
you want to get the villain edit.
I want you. Sometimes you have to. Like, I'm no stranger to mental health. I've projected that a million times, and I tell people all the time that making videos helps me because it makes me speak my mind. Whether or not I use whatever I say on an actual video or not, it makes me speak what I have to say. But the best part is that it's making me speak. So then it's consistently making me breathe, which then calms me down. You know what I mean? So if there's ever a moment for you to, like, explore emotions in your own range, you don't have to make this a video, but just talk in front of the camera and then replay what you said. That's one of the things that my therapist made me do. So I totally get it. It's a free tactic there. But you get what I'm saying? I know there are other things in there. We're not going to dwell on that anymore. But I know a lot of people out there hurt you. I know you're disappointed with where you're at or where you were. Mm-hmm. Okay? You either take that criticism, whatever they have to say, you either swallow it and move on or kick it to the side and move on. You know? So I personally just, think that you started something, and then if you have the power to do it, just keep going.
Yeah.
That's all. I wanted to just vent that on my chest. Trying to make this about me, as Claire says.
No, I mean, I definitely appreciate you saying all of that. And you were very right. I have to hold my tongue a lot of times because I know how I could easily be portrayed if I said a lot what I wanted to say, but it's also trying to like keep myself in check, like checking myself before I wreck myself of like, okay, am I being too entitled? Am I being too demanding on my audience and thinking of what I quote unquote deserve, and then having to like have that sober feeling and you're like, no, I don't deserve anything. They don't owe me anything at the end of the day, so.
I mean, I said everything I wanted. I would suggest not holding your tongue so much anymore. Let some of that out. One of the things that I've been telling some people in the space, fellow content creators, is you don't have to portray yourself as this positive, crazy, nothing's wrong with me person. It's not real. That's not human. Real human has emotions. You have sorrow. You have joy. You have anger. If you want loyalty out of an audience, you show that. Because the people who are watching you in those positions, they can relate to it.
Yeah, more relatable.
You're relatable. You know what I mean? I've the past couple of episodes I kind of talked about this, or at least in group chats and stuff like that, where I've been watching the fall of YouTubers, really big ones outside of this little pond we find ourselves. And what I've come to notice is that when they fail to show what's really going on is inevitably their downfall. When they try to scoop all their problems under the rug so that their audience doesn't see it, and then it finally blows up in their face, and then that's when they start going downhill.
And then on the other hand, you have someone like Brick Queen who tried to express how her and her husband were feeling about not getting into land and things, and then got ram blasted for it.
Doesn't mean I didn't say be tactful about it. So there's obviously a graceful way of putting it, but Brick Queen's a whole nother story because the community did not help that one bit. I think they kind of went after her, and it was unfair to her at the same time. But unlike her, you have a huge support group amongst your fellow YouTubers. I feel like Brick Queen was more of an isolationist. They were beyond anybody else that you can't really have. Because let's say something were to happen to you, I guarantee you, there's going to be at least 4 or 5 of us that would try to back you up. You know what I mean? Hey, chill, guys, relax, that type of stuff. If we really knew what was happening. But then that comes again with this whole what Claire was saying, this finding a relationship. With that whole conversation that we just had earlier about this, you give what you perceive, that type of thing. Yes, to go back to what you're saying, you do have to worry about that. But I'm not saying to just go full blast on rant. It's play the game, but it's okay to show vulnerability. That in the end of the day, it's okay to do that, because if you look at all the YouTubers who are prominent right now, they've all shown that, all of them. You know, so they've shown when they've been hurt by Lego, when they've been hurt by other people, and it didn't hurt them one bit. It actually helped them gain a loyalty from their audience. And if you're trying to find validation at that point, read the comments below. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be people who you might get like 5 stupid comments, but you're gonna get that at least one who's like, "I'm here if you need it." And that's literally all it takes. Is in a room full of people yelling at you, is that person in the corner is reaching out with their hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's all about focus. Yeah. Focus on that one person.
All right, that's enough therapy session.
She?
Because we're just bombarding Cece.
That's why I brought the teacup.
I'll send you guys my insurance card.
I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I like anybody that comes on here, I want you to succeed. Like, I've always wanted you specifically, personally, to succeed. I understand your why you stepped away, but I'm not bashing you on that at all. I totally get it. Honestly, I'm just trying to hype you up, just so that way you can build the confidence that you need to achieve the goals that you've set here. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that story that I told you about my dad is legitimate. I just been saving it for a while. I would say half a year. I've been saving it. Never thought I'd actually tell you that story.
Wow. Why not?
I just never thought I would tell you because you're on and off. And I didn't know what was really happening. So, I wanted an appropriate place to say that, like, maybe if I saw you at Virginia or something, or like, like if you posted something that resonates with, the culture, maybe that would have been an appropriate time to say that. But I just want to tell you that out of the blue. But like I said, like be you, be authentic,
yes,
express your emotions, and then you'll get somewhere.
Thank you.
We got you.
Yeah, Ninja got you for sure. He'll do a rap video for you.
Oh shit!
I'll just throw him under the bus. Well, any final thoughts before we end it?
No, this was pretty nerve-wracking. Like, I don't get that nervous, but I had like legit like chills and stuff, just like it's that vulnerability thing, and but this has been a great space, and I really was looking forward to being back on Cali Brick Clique, and I'm happy I came back. It's like things like this, being invited back into the space, or onto a platform and things like that. Like it helps me come back and see that it's not that scary. And
we're with you with this, so we all do the same thing. So we totally get it.
Same space, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we understand, and you're not talking to people who with blank faces. Like, we share in that same type of issue, all of us, and you're not the only one out there that had the same type of issue. What's been impacting you? There's other YouTubers out there that hasn't come back yet either, and are wanting to get out. So you're not alone, is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's what a lot of people need to hear sometimes, is that you're not. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ninja, got any final words?
Well, roll that music.
All right, roll that music. Thanks, Cece. Peace. This is your intervention. I did this on purpose to kind of motivate you to come back.
We need more Cece streams.
We do.